Hey everybody, Dr. Sajwitz here again, and yes, I have another great, interesting case for you. Okay, this is a follow-up to a previous case that I have showed you, and this one is just going to add on to that level of teaching. But before we get into it, do me a favor and hit those like and subscribe buttons there right down on the YouTube channel. It really helps with the SEO traffic and helps get my name out there so that you and other techs can help continue to find all my free stuff. Okay, so now let's get into the case. Okay, so what do we see here when we're looking at this chest x-ray? Does the heart look a little big? Yeah, maybe. Okay, we'll give you that. The heart looks a little bit big. But what else do we have, right? Well, I'm measuring here from the left main stem bronchus all the way out here to this shadow. This shadow normally is in here. Normally you just have the right heart border, but you have this extra shadow here. This is actually the dilated left atrium. Okay, we call this a double density sign. And if you're making this measurement and it's greater than 7 centimeters, right here I'm getting 8.5 centimeters, that tells me the left atrium is enlarged. Okay, great. So now we know that the heart's a little big, left atrium's enlarged. What else can we see? Well, we play with the windows. I can't really see the vessels coming out of the hilum, right? They don't look sharp. Normally, they're very sharp looking. You can see kind of the outline of the airways next to the vessels. So what do we call this? I call this perihilar indistinctness, right? So perihilar indistinctness with all these extra little lines, right? These are some curly lines, and you can actually see them out in the periphery of the lung as well. If I play with the window, look down here. Here's an extra line that doesn't belong, a couple little extra lines. Some of these you have to hallucinate, or you have to have a lot of practice as a radiologist. But this patient's not doing too well, right? To me, this screams of heart failure. Now, why am I showing you another heart failure case? Am I just running out of things to teach you? Well, not really. This is a more extensive version of heart failure. The last person didn't have alveolar edema, which this patient does. So what would alveolar edema look like? Well, look at all this haziness in the lungs. Normally the lungs are very black looking on a chest x-ray. So this is all pulmonary edema spilling out into the air spaces in the lungs, okay? So let me bring up a chest CT. So coming down from the top to bottom on the chest CT. Look at all this ground glass opacity, all this haziness out in the lungs on both sides. This is alveolar edema, right? So the interstitial edema is easy to see. Look at all these lines that are thickened. Here's a thickened line, here's a thickened line. There's some up here, right? Everywhere you look, you can see thickened lines. That's the interstitial edema. The thickened airways, right here is an airway that's got a thick wall. Here, this airway is a thick wall. That's also interstitial edema. But when the heart failure gets really bad, it can spill out into the air spaces of the lungs, and we call that alveolar edema. So this whole picture together, right? Let's window it a little bit differently. The whole picture together, we have a big heart with a dilated left atrium, we have interstitial edema, and we also have alveolar edema, and we have bilateral pleural effusions. This is a pleural effusion on the right, pleural effusion on the patient's left here. This patient read the book on heart failure and now has every single sign that you can imagine for heart failure. So that's why it's a great teaching case. I showed you the chest x-ray in the beginning with the double density sign, right? I showed you the lines coming out of the hilum and the perihilar indistinctness, and I showed you the alveolar edema, which we did not see on that other heart failure case. And then we went to the CT. You can see the pleural effusions. You can see the big left atrium here. This is way too big for a left atrium. I'm going to measure front to back. I'm getting almost 6 centimeters. Normal is about 4.5 centimeters. And if we play with the windows and make it a lung window, you can see all the edema in the air spaces. Okay, so that's all I have for you today on this follow-up to heart failure. I'm going to label these videos Heart Failure 1 and 2 so you can get that kind of like 1-2 punch in the teaching. I also wanted to let you know that I do have a free course available for you awesome CT and rad techs. It's called the CT SuperTech Starter Course. So what's this course about? Okay, so this course is going to help you become one of the most desirable technologists to work with at your hospital or at your imaging center. And all you have to do to get this course is go to my website at www.technologisttraining.com, or you can try going to www.CT SuperTech.com, and you give me a name and an email address and you get instant access to this course, right? This course is going to help you accelerate your career and skip having to learn on the job for years and years. Okay, a fraction of what's in the course is going to be how to differentiate yourself from all the other techs in your department, how to elevate your status and deliver exceptional patient care at the same time, and how to pick up on other people's mistakes and avoid harming a patient. Don't all those things sound great to you? Well, of course they are. Go check out the course and let me know what you think, okay? Once again, I want to say thanks so much for being here and checking out my video. Don't be afraid to tell one of your technologist colleagues about it, and we'll see you next time.